If you've ever built on the Salesforce platform, you know that the UI framework you use is, well, it's everything. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the evolution from the old guard, Aura, to the modern powerhouse, Lightning Web Components. We're going to break down why this shift was such a big deal and, more importantly, how you can get started. Let's jump right in. Oh man, remember this? The dark ages of tech? You had that one drawer, the junk drawer, just overflowing with a tangled mess of cables. One for your phone, a different one for your camera, another for your music player. It was chaos. That's exactly what the web development world felt like for a long time. A bunch of proprietary, walled-off frameworks. And in the Salesforce ecosystem, that was Aura. So here's the game plan for today. We're going to start with a quick look back at Aura, the old world. Then we'll meet the hero of our story, LWC. We'll pit them against each other in a head-to-head showdown, talk about your new LWC superpowers, and then we're going to build something. Finally, we'll wrap up by answering a couple of common questions. All right, let's fire up the time machine and punch in the year 2014. The web was a very different beast back then, and Salesforce needed a way for developers to build rich, interactive user interfaces on the platform. Their solution? The Aura framework. Now, Aura was a huge step forward at the time. It was this all-in-one proprietary system for building UIs. But that was also its biggest weakness. It wasn't built on the web standards that all the browsers were starting to agree on. Think of it like a proprietary MP3 player that could only play one type of music file. It worked, but it was disconnected from the rest of the world, and it could be kind of clunky and slow. And then, fast forward to 2019, and boom, everything changes. Salesforce didn't just release an update, they had a complete change in philosophy. They introduced Lightning Web Components and decided to stop building their own island and instead build on the solid foundation of the modern web. This right here became the rallying cry. Less framework, more standards. Instead of forcing developers to learn a ton of Salesforce-specific stuff, LWC leverages the powerful features that are already built right into your web browser. This means less code for Salesforce to maintain, and for you, a much lighter, faster, and more efficient way to build. It's a total win-win. So what are these standards we keep talking about? Well, think of them as the browser's native toolkit. You've got custom elements, which let you create your own HTML tags that you can reuse everywhere. You've got the Showdown, which is like a protective force field around your component so its styles can't leak out and mess up the rest of the page. And it's all powered by modern JavaScript. These aren't Salesforce inventions, this is just how the web works now. Okay, time for the main event. Let's put Aura and LWC head-to-head. In this corner, the veteran from 2014, and in the other, the modern challenger. Let's see how they stack up. Man, looking at this chart, it's a knockout. Aura is proprietary, LWC is standards-based. Aura is stuck on older JavaScript, LWC's all modern. And this directly translates to performance. Aura has all these extra layers of framework code that slow things down. LWC just tells the browser what to do, and the browser does it at native speed. It's like speaking the browser's fluent native language instead of using a clunky translation book. So, what does all this techie stuff actually mean for you, the developer? Well, it means you get a whole bunch of new superpowers. Let's talk about the real-world benefits you get when you choose LWC. I mean, look at this list. Your components are going to be way faster. They're more secure, they're easier to test, but honestly, the biggest superpower here is that last one. If you already know the basics of web development, HTML, CSS, and modern JavaScript, you are already 90% of the way to being an LWC developer. Your skills are now directly transferable. It's a game changer. All right, that's enough talk. You can't really get a feel for this stuff until you get your hands dirty. So let's move from the why to the how and build our very first Hello World component. This is where it all clicks. Here's our mission, should you choose to accept it. First, we'll go over the basic rules to keep the code gods happy. Then, we'll dissect the files that every component needs. We'll write a few simple lines of code, push it up to Salesforce, and then, the best part, see our creation live in an org. Ready? Let's do this. First things first, the rules. These are simple but super important. Your component name has to start with a lowercase letter. It uses camel case, so think my cool component. No spaces, no hyphens, just letters, numbers, and underscores. Get this part right, and you'll save yourself a lot of headaches down the road. Every LWC is actually a little bundle of files that work together. Just think of it like this. The HTML file is the skeleton. It gives your component structure. The JavaScript is the brain. It handles all the logic. And the XML file, that's its passport. It tells Salesforce what the component is and where it's allowed to go. You can also add CSS for a custom outfit and an SVG for a custom profile picture. Okay, let's look at the code. First up, the HTML file. The most important thing here is that everything, and I mean everything, has to be wrapped inside a template tag. Inside, it's just plain old HTML. That class SLDS-MROndLarge, that's a handy utility class from the Salesforce Lightning design system that just gives our text a little bit of breathing room. Next, the JavaScript file, the brain. And look how simple this is to get started. We just import the base Lightning element from the LWC library. Then we create a class for our component that extends it. That's it. This is our blank canvas. All our cool logic, data properties, and functions will eventually go inside these curly braces. And finally, the passport. This XML file is how you tell Salesforce about your component. The two most important things here are isExposed, which you set to true to make it visible to admins, and the targets section. This is where you list all the places your component can live, like on an app page or a home page. Without this file, your component is basically invisible to Salesforce. Okay, so you've seen the theory, you've seen a basic component. Now I'm sure some questions are starting to pop into your head. So for our last section, let's clear the fog and tackle a couple of the most common questions people have when they're starting out. This is the big one, right? Especially if you're working in an org that already has a bunch of Aura components. You build your awesome new LWC, but can you just drop an old Aura component inside of it? And the answer is a firm no. Think of it as a one-way street. LWC is the new, modern, lightweight thing. It can't contain the older, heavier Aura framework. But, and this is the important part, you can do it the other way around. You can absolutely put a shiny new LWC inside an existing Aura component. This is your secret weapon for modernizing an app. You can start building all your new stuff in LWC and gradually replace the old Aura parts over time. All right, next question. We mentioned that optional SVG file. I mean, what's it really for? Why would you go to the trouble of creating one? It's all about making your components look professional and easy to find. That SVG file lets you create a custom icon that shows up in the Lightning App Builder. So when your admin is dragging and dropping components to build a page, yours will stand out with a unique logo instead of a generic placeholder. It's a small touch that makes a huge difference, especially if you're building components for other people to use. So there you have it. We've gone from the proprietary past of Aura to the standards-based future of LWC. You know why it's better, you know how it works, and you've even seen the code for your very first component. The foundation is laid. The only question left is, what are you going to build first? Go create something awesome.